Tracy Nelson here with Creation Adventures, and thanks for joining me. And today we're going to be talking about making the $5 ULU knife. And the reason, well, there's several reasons it's just $5, and I'll go into that a little bit. But basically, the $5 that I figured that it cost me to make this was basically electricity, the epoxy, and the sanding belts, the wear and tear on the sanding belts. And that's about all it takes to build this knife. And I'll walk you through it a little bit. And then when it comes to ULUs, I don't know if you're familiar with ULU, but they're really a good, handy working knife for a lot of different things. But I use mine mainly in the kitchen on the chopping board for for vegetables or nuts, or even cutting up meat that I've cooked real fine and hashing it up, in the real fine small pieces, like to make a barbecue sandwich or something. But I use it. We use ours. My wife and I, we use the one that I have in the kitchen a lot. Now this one is the finished product that you're going to watch me make. All right, so I'm kind of putting the first last. I'm going ahead and showing you what we're going to be making. And this is exactly the one that I think you can make for $5. That's if certain things line up. The reason mine only costs $5, this is what I'm using. I'm going to use a circular saw blade. And I got this for free. Now if you had to pay for the saw blade, of course, you're not going to be able to make one for $5. But a good knife maker, if you're getting into knife making, you know that you'll be looking all the time for metal to repurpose into making a knife or something like that. And so this was from a friend of mine who does woodworking, and so that was free. All right, so we're going to be using circular saw blade. And then I decided to use a deer antler on this one. You can use wood or whatever you want to, but the deer antler is also free. I didn't have to buy it. I found it in the woods this past turkey season when I was out turkey hunting. It was a shed. So that's why I say that I made this for about $5. Now when it comes to the ULU, there are different styles of ULUs, and I don't claim to be some kind of expert, but like here's a smaller ULU blade. It's a little bit smaller than this one. Okay, you can see the difference. And this will make a nice ULU. It just depends on what your purpose is for making the ULU. This ULU is about, it's a little shorter on the cutting edge than this one. Okay, but there again, this was a saw blade, a circular saw blade, and so was this one. All right, now I have some other ULUs. Like I said, they're different styles. Here's another style of ULU, and this is from a circular blade that I acquired some circular blades from a friend of mine who has a trout processing plant, and they use these round blades in their machines where they cut and fillet those trout. And so this ULU would be different in that it would have the hole there that you could reach your fingers through and actually touch one another in that hole, because your handle's going to go here. And so that's about the same size as far as the cutting edge as that one. All right, now this is a little heavier material, but it's also a really good material, and I've used some of this to make some other ULU. Or you can go into a little longer type ULU, such as these right here, which these are unfinished, of course. You can see how rough they are. But then you can put a handle from here to here on these long ones. And these make really good, like pizza cutters and stuff like that too. Or if you're cutting, well, anything with a cutting board, this makes a really good long ULU. All right, so what we're going to do, just real quick, is lay this ULU out. And if I measure from here to here, I've got 7 inches. All right. So what I'll do on my blade, I've already done that, is I'll measure from here. I measured from here to here and made a mark. All right. And then at the top of my ULU, I should say the back of my blade that goes into the handle is 2 inches. And so, and then there again, the length from point A to point B is going to be about 4 inches. So get an idea of what I'm doing here. So I know I need about 2 inches, and this is going to be included right here. So I marked about the center of this thing, and I can straighten up a lot of stuff by I just went to the center of that hole right there and drew me a couple lines, and then I'll make sure I get me about 2 inches here. Then I can just connect the dots, so to speak. And have a look at it and see how it looks. So that's what we have. And if you want this, the back, I'll call it the back of your blade. If you want it to be shorter, you can make it narrower, and it's going to increase the angle on these sides that are coming up. All right. If you have an old ULU, of course you can lay it in there and get an idea of how it's going to be, and you can mark it that way. I could just do that, but I'm going to assume that you don't have an ULU blade. Okay, and that's why I did it like I did. And you can kind of look at it and see if you need to come up a little bit maybe before you cut. Now it doesn't really matter up here, because I'm gonna cut through this hole, but then I'm gonna drop down and grind this hole off and make it even across the top. So where I'm at right here, it is not that big of a deal. So that's what we have for the ULU pattern that, for this one that I'm going to make, which I've already made. Okay, as you can see, that one fits almost perfectly in there. You see that one? Okay, well, let's get started on the $5 ULU. And you can see this is the piece I've already cut out, and I'll use. You'll see that I'll use the side grinder with a cutting wheel to cut that out. All right, let's get busy. All right. Put some light on the subject. This is what we have so far. Now we just gotta get it shaped. I'm gonna grind the teeth off that thing first. I keep wetting it down to make sure I don't get it too hot. So far, it looks pretty good.